This program is designed to provide general information with regards to the subject matters covered. This information is given with the understanding that neither the hosts, guests, sponsors, or station are engaged in rendering any specific and personal, medical, financial, legal, counseling, professional service, or any advice. You should seek the services of competent professionals before applying or trying any suggested ideas.
Hey everybody, it's Brian Sebastian, movie reviews and more live on Talkback Media, TV, radio, and podcasting, K4HD, radio and podcasting, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora, Apple TV, Amazon Music, Roku, over 100 platforms around the world, and streaming, Worldwide TV Network, which was formerly Women on TV Network, WomenOnTV.tv, and iTunes 247 out of Franklin, Tennessee, and Terri. We're just a tad away from 5 million views just in Tennessee and Argentina. We are almost there.
That's awesome.
Amazing. So the good thing about this is I've been waiting for this show. So Mike Szymanski, my good friend, it's almost Oscar time to talk about movies. But in general, here's what I've been waiting for. And Terri, nonstop, it's good to see you. Going back to CES, going back to technology, going back to health and wellness, fitness, breathing correctly. Terri's got, sinus problems, and, when she gets clogged up, I hear all kinds of bad things. Mike, you have some health problems. It's all about clean air and health and wellness. So first, when I met Stuart, we got to start there. Stuart, tell us where you're coming from and why I like you, and talk about Air-Clenz first, because when I met you, you were just a nice guy. You didn't know anything about me. I didn't know anything about you. And all of a sudden, I'm looking around at the laptops. I'm looking at the filters in there. I'm looking, what's this device? And I just see Air-Clenz, and I look at the photo every day. Talk about why this brand is important and why, and what you guys plan on doing with this. Go ahead.
Well, thank you, Brian, for that very generous introduction. So what we're trying to do at airclenz.com, at Air-Clenz, is to bring to the marketplace our intellectual property. We've got 24 plus patents pending, and they're all around the idea of capturing and cleaning exhaled air from 1 inch from the mouth to 4 feet from the mouth. It's an ignored space. One thing we've learned in the last 2 years in particular is indoor air quality is a significant issue. It's a big opportunity. There's a Harvard study that says if we could have cleaner air, we would actually have smarter employees, smarter work being done. So we have patented this technology, and we want to help capture 99% plus of exhaled air and all of the germs, all of the viruses that is in that exhaled air, as well as constantly be cleaning the room in a democratized system where we don't have, in addition to the central HVAC system, we've also got with each laptop or each desktop monitor, we have built-in air cleaning so that every single screen is cleaning the air across the room.
And George, thank you for being nice. I love this company going back to CES. Not only was the publicity team great, when I saw this, I'm like, I got to have these companies. I have to have this. I've been wanting and talking about these things since 2018. I'm always been on the record saying I saw this pandemic coming. Going back to when we were in Tennessee, Terri, I started talking about it back there. Now it's August 1st of 2018 when we did our first show. The reason why I took it out of there, I needed to go outside California and test everything as what we were doing. Why do I like this company, George? And tell us your background, because you guys were very, very nice, and I love those filters. And ours is around, it's in California now, and I can't wait to have it in studio. I can't wait to take it on the show with us, because we're going on tour within the next couple of weeks after our event. And also, here's another thing. Roxy, I don't know if you can show our Bubble Hut tents that Amy Kaiserman developed. We want to put both of these products in these tents. And what it is, it's aligned with Airbnb and things like that. We're going to have this at our event, the Super Bowl event, next Thursday in Los Angeles on the rooftop of Madame Tussauds. She's one of our founders. On next Tuesday's show, she's going to be here. And Amy said she would love to have both of your products aligned with your tents. Imagine that. She's a founder, inventor of this. So George, long-winded, but you see what I'm building up. And Stuart, you will like this too, because again, without clean air, without everything you guys are going to be talking about, we don't exist. George, go for it.
Oh, absolutely. Well, thanks for having me, Brian. My name is George Negron. I'm with Air-Clenz, another cleanse, but with a K. So we'll differentiate ourselves today. Our background is actually started with the decontamination of chemical warfare agents. So we were helping military, naval ships kind of remove some of the world's most toxic chemicals. We recently, in our history, we've just been tasked against some of the most critical biologicals and chemical stuff that if anyone in this room was around, we probably wouldn't be on this show much longer. So when the pandemic hit, we were very well versed in enclosed spaces, designing equipment or designing apparatuses that can remove these biologicals, these viruses, these chemical agents quickly, safely, and efficiently. So we use metal oxides that not only take in, break down, but it doesn't release anything back into your environment. So, a lot of technologies are releasing stuff back into the air, which is kind of counterintuitive, because you want to take these contaminants in and break them down versus kind of release it. So we've been very fortunate to be one of the leading innovators throughout the pandemic, helping schools, municipalities, and businesses reopen. And, we're very happy to do that.
So Stuart, I'm going to come back to you in a minute. And then Mike, I know you got a question. So for us movie-going theaters, people, one of the reasons why a lot of us did not want to go back to the theaters, specifically me, was about recycled air. It was about working on our laptops, all the things that you two had just talked about. The reason why I wanted to have you both on, I wanted to be the first out the gate talking about this, because I've been talking to the theater owners. They're not doing anything that I see about it. If I have to lead the way to do it, so be it. If I can be the bad guy doing it, it's about people's health. We got enough people dying around us, and I'm tired of this. Mm-hmm. So that's why I wanted to have you guys on, because this is important. Right, Mike? We've been talking about this.
Well, and what I'm wondering is, can you guys, obviously the interest is because of COVID. Can you actually say that these products will help with the spread of COVID?
Yes, we can. And we've actually got a study coming out in about 6 weeks, Mike. So there's only a certain amount of it that I can talk about at this point, but it looks at the aircraft cabin environment, and it looks at the impact. If you're in an aircraft without masks on, which is coming, Denmark announced today that, and I think they're the first country to announce it, that you no longer need wear a mask on public transportation. So when the mask comes off in the airplane, what's going to happen? And we piggybacked on an existing study from a U.S. university who's well known for their study of aircraft cabins. And we found that if an aircraft were to be equipped with our technology in every seat, it would reduce the potential spread of COVID or another similar. We've tested influenza, anthrax, you name it, in this computer model, and we reduce the rate of infection spread by between 50 and 99.8%. So effectively, if you're in an airplane or a movie theater or a train or a call center that has equipment with Air-Clenz technology in it, you're in not only a much cleaner air that's going to help you mentally and physically, but you're also in a much safer breathing environment.
Terri, feel better about that?
Yes. Yeah, I have allergies and asthma, so that's something that I definitely need.
So George, when it comes to this, you were talking about how you took your company and it's become a multimedia company now because you saw this coming down the pipeline. Talk about that.
Well, I think we saw the need for air quality and we saw the need for proper ventilation in enclosed spaces. You covered movie theaters, and I think that's a great example of high traffic area where it's occupied sometimes several hundred people, and the ventilation is so poor. I mean, really and truly, you're getting 1 to 2 air exchanges an hour in the common, room size. And what happens if someone has COVID or just an influenza or the common cold? You literally can spread it from front to back, and there's nothing to protect it because it's just going to be suspended in the air. So we've been dealing with this for, I would say, over a decade now. And our work with the U.S. Navy, you can just imagine being in an enclosed ship. If once someone gets sick, the whole crew's down, and if the whole crew's down, there goes that ship. So we started working on this. And I guess when the pandemic came, no one in our company was surprised. I mean, we were prepared. We knew it was coming. We had the technology in place. And I felt the conversations were easier. I would say 8-10 years ago, if you said to want to talk to someone about air quality, they would say, oh, that's very nice. I'm worried about my food. I'm worried about my health. I'm worried about everything else but the air. There's plenty of air outside. I'm pretty good. But now when you talk about it, people really give you the attention it deserves. And I'm really glad to see, especially if you look at the school system, for decades, we've neglected the air in our school system. And I think he covered the Harvard study about productivity, absenteeism. And these children are being raised in these school systems with zero ventilation, no operable windows, mold. And now we can provide them with this ventilation because of this CARES Act, this URSA. So, I mean, this is something that should have been done 30 years ago, but at least it's happening today. And at least our government officials are waking up that air quality is important.
Brian,
100% agreed.
Brian, I think it would be great if these guys explain a little bit about their products, because George's product is a really interesting kind of compact thing that travels, that can travel around. Looks like it's, and then Stuart's product is something that can even fit over computers, and it's like a clear thing. It's really cool. So maybe if you guys can explain a little bit about what your products look like and how they work.
Sure. Do you want me to start? I'll start. Sorry, Stuart. Well, we make portable air cleaners, and I think there's a place for Stuart's technology. It sounds amazing. I've never come across it, but I'm definitely intrigued by it. We make portable room air cleaners that can be placed in the back of a room or anywhere in a room. And what they do is they provide ventilation where ventilation is lacking. So you're able to use a 4-speed 250 CFM air purifier that's able to add 3 to 5 air exchanges per hour. And I touched it on in a common classroom. We were going in all over the US and they had 0 air exchanges. Windows couldn't open, no ventilation. So just us sticking in these air systems at least gave the fighting chance of being able to exchange that air, filter out these contaminants, and get some kind of, since no fresh air is coming in, getting some reclamation done. We also have the ability to impregnate normal filters and media into the existing HVAC system to help complement that. So using our patented technology, we're able to help a building no matter what the scenario is.
Hey, Terri,
Yeah.
hold on your mic. That's making a bunch of noise. So,
Yeah.
hold on. So, Stuart, when it comes to that, this is why I like Air-Clenz. When it comes back to laptops, what's everybody using laptops, and they're not being cleaned, which drives me nuts. And so when we're eating, I love the way it looks, which is what Mike was describing also. Very, very important, especially when it comes to school. And I can't, so I'm a clean guy. So 2017, Terri and I found, we had our own hand sanitizer. And so people were laughing at us back then. Mike, remember I had it from Celebrity Connected?
I do.
It was elliptical hand sanitizer. And I kept saying, we need this. And we had, they were called the restroom kits that you put them on when you take them to the porta potties and stuff. So it was always about cleanliness back then. And then going back to 2014-15, we were talking about these things at the Hollywood Film Festival. I saw these things happening because we had the Chinese over. And I was like, this is not good. They're not doing anything. And when I'm talking to the theater owners, I'm like, you know why people aren't going to your theaters? Because you don't have the cleansers in there. You don't have the purifiers in there. And they're not happy with me saying that. But you know what? This is important because you're talking about people's lives and their well-being. We have enough people passing away, and I don't want to see any more of this. That's why you guys are on the show. Go ahead, Steve.
Yeah, and that's one of the aspects of Air-Clenz that you and I talked about, Brian, at CES, that obviously we're excited about our pending patents around the world. But what is really exciting for us is that we know empirically that we can make more people we can help more people lead healthier lives. And there are not a lot of companies who can actually do that. There are a lot of companies who say they do that, but we know empirically. As a couple quick examples, like the addition of a portable air purifier in a room is fantastic. It does increase the air turns. Our patents, we don't manufacture anything, but our patents, which we will license or sell to, say, a computer monitor manufacturer or an airline or an aircraft manufacturer, depending on the environment, or the company who makes movie theater seats, right? If you're in an airplane, as an example, they say they completely turn the cabin air every 2 to 3 minutes, which is factually accurate. Otherwise, their legal department would not allow them to say it. So it's factually accurate. If the airplane had Air-Clenz technology installed in every seat, they would be completely cleaning the cabin air every 8 to 10 seconds. Mm-hmm. If you're in a classroom with an average sized US classroom with 20 to 25 desktop computer monitors enabled with Air-Clenz technology in them, or 20 to 25 laptop docking stations that are Air-Clenz enabled, you're going to not only meet the Harvard recommendation of 4 to 5 air turns per hour, you're going to get up into 6 and 7 air turns per hour, which is completely changing the air, completely cleaning the air in the room every 7 or 8 minutes. Which, when you, and I don't want to get too geeky on the science, but if you think about the viral load, the amount of virons that someone needs to breathe in order to become sick with, say, COVID, you're never going to hit that viral load level. If you go back one slide for me for a second, these are two I'll take 10 seconds and explain this. These are two screenshots from a video, and the video you think is an animation done by Disney, but it's actually a highly sophisticated fluid dynamics model brought to life by a company out of North Carolina called Resolved Analytics. And they did a study where they compared, on the left, a standard desktop computer monitor, and you see the woman, she's actually coughing onto the monitor. And then you can see in the top right the scale from dark green to orange. Those are the different particulate sizes, 1 micron to 10 microns. 1 micron is like a COVID example. They're small, so they can go deep into your lungs. Then they ran the test based on an Air-Clenz enabled monitor, and according to their research, we capture 100% of her exhaled air, and it comes out the back almost 100% clean. And not only are we catching her exhaled air, but we're also continually pulling in ambient air from around her space. So we're also just cleaning the air in general. And our technology works, our patents work, whether we have HEPA filters or UV light, or we met some guys at CES who are using ultrasound to clean the air. So the air cleaning medium is highly flexible. It's whatever anyone wants to spec it for.
See, Stuart, one of the reasons why I like you, I remember I was there for American Idol. So I remember when you came up with certain things when you were with Coke, going back to the day. So yes, they're all friends of mine, all 3 judges. So I think of that as things. So I'm not surprised you're doing what you're doing. But for the audience, talk about your days at Coke real quick, leading up to where you are now.
Well, I was in brand management at Coca-Cola headquarters here in Atlanta for almost a decade. And Brian's talking about 2 projects that we just happened to get talking about. I was fortunate enough to get to work on 2 projects. One was the DreamWorks animation called Shark Tale,
Yep.
with Missy Elliott and some other famous folks in it, and it was about an alternate reality under the sea. And I put together the integrated marketing plan for that and was the brand representative with DreamWorks. So I'm not sure if it makes me famous or infamous, but I was the first person to ever get the company to approve altering the trademark on Coca-Cola. If you watch that movie, Shark Tales, they have vending machines, and if you're not paying attention, or they have a Times Square billboard, you think it says Coca-Cola, but it actually says Coral Cola. Mike, you're nodding your head like you remember it.
I do.
Well,
Yeah.
because Stuart, we did the interviews for the movies.
Great.
Yeah, we did the junkets for it.
Yeah. And then American Idol, I was involved in the first 4 seasons of American Idol, again, as the brand person who was responsible for envisioning what could be done with American Idol beyond just the ad buy. So, getting the judges to drink out of Coca-Cola cups, and then evolving that into each week, we might have a different Coca-Cola brand. Coke with lime, which is a product we launched, or vanilla Coke. And then all the different partnerships and activations that you saw on TV or on the web or in store. Those were all outputs of the great work that the team I led did. So, Brian, I guess you and I have been connected to each other way longer than we knew, right?
Yes, I always tease Kevin Bacon that I'm the real 6 degrees of separation, and he laughed.
That's true.
So, George, you're not getting out of this. So I know your background too. Go to your background and let's see where we connect on everything. Because leading up to, like I said, a Air-Clenz, it's one of the things where people don't think about going into a doctor's office or a dentist's office. This is why this company is good, because talk about why, health and wellness, right?
Absolutely, but that's a tough act to follow after Stuart with that story. So it's not as exciting, but yeah, absolutely. So I've been fortunate, I guess, for the last 8 years. I've been helping dental medical offices nationwide, globally. So I've spent a lot of time in the European Union as well, kind of studying what they're doing with the ventilation and seeing the existing technologies. And when you go over, and I always say in advanced technology, and I guess Stuart will be able to agree with this, it's like magic. No one believes it until they see it. So you kind of, you go there and then you talk about it and you talk about it and everyone says, that sounds great. And then when you show it to them and you show how it brings value to their life, you show how it makes them more productive, happier, healthier, then they really buy into it. So we've been able to do that across the globe. We recently helped the Australian NSW schools district, 1,000 units sent over from our German facility. But when we were just talking to them, they said we were inundated with so many different technologies. Everyone's, sending us from a price range of $50 up to $10,000. Where do we start? So we kind of took a step back and said, well, what are your needs? What are you trying to accomplish? And we'll help you with a solution in place. So I think a lot of the guys in the industry, see Stuart has a good headlock on it as well, helping people really improve the quality of air, which improves the quality of what they're doing. We're indoors 80, 90% of our lives. So why shouldn't we care about the air? Why shouldn't we improve it? And there's so many studies saying better air, you live longer, you're happier, you're healthier. There's even studies on mental illness with good indoor air quality. I mean, we could tie this into so many things, but why shouldn't we care about the air as much as we do about the food we eat, the water we drink, the cars we drive, putting on a seatbelt? I mean, as far as that goes, this is a PPE. So, I mean, it's really feels good to talk with people. So to talk to people like yourself, Brian and Mike, that are putting the importance of this, no matter what product you're buying, just the fact that you're paying attention to what's in your air and you're trying to put a solution in place, that's half the battle.
So George, Terri, and Stuart, because Mike will remember this because we were there during the junket for this. All right, so remember the movie Outbreak? So what was the scene that got everybody? The coughing in the theater. So Mike and I spent our lives in movie theaters. So do you not think we didn't ever forget that? I think about that almost every single day. That was Mike. Was that 1998 we did those interviews for? 90. It was in the 90s.
Yeah.
Where are we now?
I've watched
all
of those movies and they're all pretty prophetic. They all came came true, it seems like. But I know that the next time I go into a theater and somebody is going to cough or sneeze, I'm going to say, "Get the hell out of here."
I was just thinking that.
now when anyone even sneezes a tiny little sneeze, everyone around them turns and looks at them as if they're waiting for their head to explode.
Right.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm wondering, can you guys say is there a possibility? Your product seems so obvious for mass production for schools, or like you said, with theaters and airlines. Is that a possibility? I mean, have you gone to school districts and checked those things out? And what is the possible future of that?
Absolutely. So we're very lucky. We're fortunate to be in about 100,000 classrooms, and right in Mike's backyard, the Atlanta Public School District. So we actually did a big install there. So I think going into the classrooms is something that we've done. And the reason is we identified it as being a very vulnerable sector. It was one that we knew that had poor ventilation. We know that the opportunity for them to improve their upper ventilation would have taken years. So the ability to put something short-term in place that they could use and operate under, it gave them the fighting chance to keep the students back. And I always think the most important thing during this pandemic is bringing people back to normalcy. So, I mean, I know there's been a lot of remote things and that's worked great, but just seeing the students back in the classrooms, seeing them being able to operate, and with mask or without mask, I think that's a different conversation. But the opportunity just to see them come back into the classroom, seeing them not have to be separated, 10 feet and minimize the classroom, lose that social aspect that you gain from being in the classroom with your peers. So there's just a lot of good from that. And we've also been into municipality buildings, government buildings has been a big effort of ours. But overall, I think when you ask someone, I guess Stuart would agree also, what is your market? Anything that has a roof over it and four walls that enclose it, that's what we want to protect.
So Terry and Mike will remember this. So we were one of the few in the world. Mike, remember when you first came in the studio, Terry? Because Terry sits next to me.
Mm-hmm.
We built it up during COVID, and it was called the Mike House Studio, our podcast. Matter of fact, Terry Call's here sitting to the right of me. But it's one of those things where we got prominent people to come into the studio. One, because it was safe. Two, because we had a big, huge lobby. Three, because I was personally wiping down everything. Not only did I have the elliptical hand sanitizer, the restroom kit, the one thing I didn't have, which I had been reaching out to since 2017, was that for our studios. I'm at Q Booty right now. I don't care how big it is. You still need these devices wherever you may go. When George, you know this, going into a dentist's office, by the way, you get 80% off, everybody. So you guys who are married with women and girlfriends, you guys will like this. But it's one of those things where it is important because it doesn't matter how big or small the facility, we're spending more and more time inside. We're getting ready to go on the road to the film festival, Mike, Terry and I in Beloit in a couple of weeks. And in our panels, we have our own panels because of our views. Do you not think I'm not going to have our ear purifiers and whatever I have to take on the road with us to show these people what needs to be done in their classrooms, panels, whatever they may be? That stuff is really, really important to me. Do you not think I'm going to have my stuff sitting with me on the plane? Hell yeah, I'm going to be, because I don't get sick. But still, you have to be careful. You really do.
Oh, absolutely. I think anywhere you go, I think just going into a hotel now, I mean, I do a lot of traveling, and just walking into a hotel lobby, I mean, it's ghost towns. I think people are scared to congregate. You used to walk into a Hyatt or a Hilton and it would be alive. I was just in Atlanta and I was kind of shocked to see that. And I think the hotels are almost encouraging people not to congregate. They're saying, here's your room card, here's your key, kind of go upstairs. We don't want to really put in some measures in place, and we're kind of preaching to them, hey, there's things we can do. We can outfit this lobby. We can outfit your fitness centers. We can outfit by the bar area. And, it's not really going to cost an arm and a leg. And what's the value of people's health and safety and getting people back into hotels and the lobby? So I think when you look at the ROI from a human life aspect, you put whatever money you can into that. So I look at a lot of businesses that are doing a lot of good things. And then you look at the businesses that are kind of saying, well, we'll just change the way we do business. We'll allow 5 or 10 people in here. And I think that's not the way to go. We should be looking at therapeutic measures. We should be looking at therapeutic solutions to get people back into their place and feeling safe, like you covered, Brian.
Stuart?
Yes.
That's funny. It was one of those things. This is where Air-Clenz comes in. Again, what's everybody taking? Because Mike knows this, and Terri knows this too. Terri works from home. I'm usually out open air where I am. Groundworks coffee. It's got the ventilation stuff, and I sit by myself, and I don't have it on. I took it off. I have my air that I got from Caltets from the Japanese. I wear these things around because I don't get sick, and I'm up 2 a.m. East Coast time, but I get worn down. And for me, my way of relaxing was going to the movies. When I'm not going to the movies, that's an issue. When I go in there and I sit in my same seat, row C, sit 9, and there's nobody there or only 9 people there, I'm still thinking about recycled air. So I still spray the chairs down with the Lysol and everything. And then Stuart, this is where I'm thinking of Air-Clenz. George, this is where I'm thinking about your product needs to be there. Because why, Mike? We need it in the theaters, right?
Yeah. So first of all, you're a kindred soul, Brian, because it sounds like you're like me. You like to sit about 3 or 4 rows back, but you don't want to have to move your head to see the screen. You want the screen to kind of just go outside your field of vision. You know what happened, Stuart? The reason I sit there now because it was the safest place for me to sit. I used to, Mike and I, we used to sit in the aisles, right? So we could stretch our feet out for years. That was our seats because everybody would get up and walk around. Go ahead, Stuart. So, whoever the manufacturer is of seats for movie theaters and concert venues, we would love to have them contact us. We're trying to reach out to them because they could very easily, during their manufacturing process, add Air-Clenz technology to all of their seats and then connect it through ductwork to the HVAC system, or have each seat have its freestanding filtration system and fan underneath it. And every single seat in the entire theater is capturing and cleaning exhaled air within 3 to 4 feet of it leaving people's mouths. And so it's not mixing around the room. It's, the combination of George's technology plus our technology is going to bump those air turns in the room up 3, 4, 5 times what they already are. And it doesn't mean we guarantee 100% no one's going to get sick. But when it comes to airborne illnesses or airborne irritants, the vast majority of them are going to be taken out of the air by Air-Clenz technology before they impact a user, a guest.
Terri, I'm going to go to you. Hey, Mike, let me get Terri in real quick. So Terri, think about this when you're going to the dentist or to the doctors. This is where George comes in. This is where Stuart, comes in. Because people aren't thinking about this thing. It's still closed. It's still entitled. There's still things in the particles in the air. Right, George? Right, Stuart? Mm-hmm. And people aren't thinking about these things. So, Terri, when you go into a doctor's office, you go in to see your dentist, you're not thinking about that. You're thinking that everything is clean and sterile, right?
Yeah, I mean, well, you want to think that, but I mean, another thing is they're saying that the cloth masks are not that effective to keep you safe. So it's more important to have to have this kind of filtration because the masks aren't really doing too much. So that's going to make you have more confident that you're safer.
Yeah, I mean, early on in the pandemic, they labeled dentists as one of the most dangerous occupations there was because they create aerosolized exposure. So they're drilling and they're doing these procedures that are creating these airborne transmissions. And I remember the first time I walked into a dentist's office from early on in the pandemic, they were suited up in hazmat gear. And this is the hazmat gear that you would see in a military operation, which I've been very fortunate enough to be a part of when they do these decon operations. I couldn't believe it, seeing a nurse and a dentist fully tie backed up. It looked like a scene from Outbreak. And you're like, what are you doing? What are you guys trying to accomplish here? They're like, well, we're very suited up and we're changing this every 15 minutes. And we have this pile and they're going to be incinerated. And you really thought at that time, who is educating these people? We really need to kind of slow down because I'm sure the cost there was astronomical. And I'm sure they're just quality of life, the way they were working in these 10-pound suits couldn't have been comfortable. But, I applaud the effort. But I think just at that time, if they thought about this is an airborne threat, how can we treat the air? How can we sanitize our surfaces? How can we train our staff to be better at noticing these risks and making sure that the air systems are on, or that we're wiping down the instruments, that we're going the extra mile. So it just kind of tells you where we've come from 2 years ago in the pandemic. So it's good to see that graduating change as well.
Remember, Mike, talk about the first time that you walked into the studio at the Mike House. We were where we were doing 4 shows because I wanted to knock them out just in case. And what was happening was we were wearing our masks, we were wearing our shields. The first show I think we did was with Rachel Max, your friend. And it was one of the things where we wanted to be safe. We always had 4 or 5 people in there, and we were close, but I kept everybody in the lobby just to be careful before they came in. We did our best what we could do, but there's still no guarantee of what you 2 guys were talking about. That we did what we could do.
Cleaning the mics and everything too. But, I think that, not to get too political or anything, but, I'm glad I live in California as opposed to Florida, and because they do have a lot of these rules and laws. Not everybody follows them, but there's laws about, wearing masks in certain places, and, as opposed to, finding teachers for trying to help their students like they do in Florida. And, in Georgia, one of my nephews went to Georgia and got COVID over the holidays. I just feel a lot safer in California. It makes me not want to travel. I wouldn't do what you and Terri are doing for a long time. I have multiple sclerosis, so for me getting COVID, it would be very, very dangerous.
Yeah, Mike, you've got a high risk factor, but the lockdowns and things like that, the science shows they don't really work. And that comes back to the technology George is talking about, and the technology that Air-Clenz is talking about, which is, many of the public health steps that have been taken in the United States over the last 2 years don't do what we think they're supposed to do. The only thing that, even getting vaccinated, isn't stopping COVID the way we have been told that it should. COVID's going to do what it's going to do. Any aerosol-based pandemic like this, it's going to do what it's going to do. And what's going to happen is it's going to evolve, like, Delta and then Omicron, and now there's a new, and what it's doing is it's evolving to a point where it can still live within the hosts, but not kill the host. And so that's what's happening. And it happens with the Spanish flu, avian flu, et cetera, et cetera. They all follow the same pattern. And really, when you're outdoors, you're never going to get the viral load that you need, even with a mask off. It's when you're indoors that the viral load can build up to a high enough level, and it varies based on the organism that we're talking about. But it's only indoors that you can get to a high enough viral load level where you can become infected and potentially contract the disease. So Terri talked about cloth masks. There's all kinds of confusing information out there, but the clean air that George is talking about and that I'm talking about not only vastly reduces the odds of contracting an aerosol-based virus like COVID and a wide variety of other things, but it's also just increasing the air quality overall. Allergens, smoke, carbon dioxide, carbon monoxide, God forbid, if your alarm's going off, get out of the room. But you're going to see, and there's some countries in Europe that are already doing this, monitors in the room that are showing digitally the air quality in the room. And if you walk in the room and it's below a certain level, it's not a healthy room and you shouldn't be in there. You can buy a measuring unit on the internet for $30 or $40. And you can walk into any room and automatically know, is this a healthy indoor air environment or not? Doesn't matter what state you're in. It doesn't matter what the laws are.
And that's one reason why I wanted to have you guys on, because it's because what people are bringing back into their homes. That's where we are. That's why these 2 companies are important in my book. So when I'm thinking about the studio, I'm thinking about going on the plane, I'm thinking about doing our own panels and controlling what I can do. I still need to have these two, these companies, these devices align with what we're doing and spreading the word. That's my job. So when it comes to these things like that, that's why my hat goes off to you guys when things like that. So George, talk about this. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Steve.
Well, I was going to say, with 12 million views and counting, you're clearly very good at spreading the word. So we appreciate very much being invited on here to talk with you guys.
Well, here's the thing. That's not the number. The real number is going to be 23 to 25 million between now and April. That's the real number. Then you'll see me jumping up and down, and I might even wear cute booty stuff myself.
Yes.
That's the real number. And Mike knows this because I'm always on record saying where we're supposed to be, and that's the whole thing, and that's really, really important for us. So I think we got a couple minutes left. So Stuart, give your social media links, why people should come out to support what you need for Air-Clenz.
Yeah, so Air-Clenz at Air-Clenz with a Z, a C, not a K, CLENZ at Air-Clenz. That's on Twitter and LinkedIn. We're not selling the product commercially. We're not manufacturing it. So right now we're in the stages of trying to find manufacturers. Maybe George and I should have a conversation. But we're talking to computer monitor manufacturers. We're talking to school districts, not getting POs, just getting their interest and their buy-in. So maybe someone like a Steelcase who makes millions of pieces of furniture and equipment for classrooms would want to get involved in this. In the aircraft space, it's either an airline or an aircraft manufacturer or a seat manufacturer who's gonna be our partner to bring this to the world. We can't scale fast enough to manufacture enough. So we've got to have business to business, but we'd love to get consumer demand out there, asking these types of companies for it. But our focus right now is trying to get corporate partners.
Hey, Mike, it's your turn. Tell them what you do and why this is important.
Well, I have my books on Amazon under Mike Szymanski. You can find them, and I am focusing on writing about my dachshunds right now, and I have soon to come up with a book about my dachshund tombstone, which has 8 dachshunds on it.
And then, so George, while we're going to get this ready, I think Roxy has something. Roxy, before that, can you talk about, you work at home, you're our engineer. Do you have time to chime in on this at all? She might be busy. Oh, no, there she is.
What do you want me to chime in on?
You work from the home all the time. You're on a computer working on all these shows, and you need, see, I'm concerned about my engineer. This is how much I value her. I want her to have the best ear because I don't think she gets out enough. Right, Roxy?
I actually don't get out a whole lot. My studio is in my home, and what I do worry about is my kids going to school and coming back and bringing something back. That's my biggest worry. I can go grocery shopping. I've got my times down so that I go when there's less people, but the school system, you never know. My 2 oldest boys are on a wrestling team, and they're body to body with other schools, and that worries me. So that kind of filtration system really sparks some interest for me.
Yeah. And then while you're getting Stuart's clip ready, we should show that. George, talk about why this is important, social media links and what you want for your company there.
Absolutely. So it's enviroclenz.com. That's with a K. So we're making sure we got that clear. So I think it's important everyone can check out the site. Even for information purposes, we have a lot of case studies. We actually monitor real world kind of data and scenarios in dental offices, medical centers, rehabilitation clinics. We really just want to spread the word that there is just life after COVID. And, there's these solutions in place that can really drastically improve the air. And Stuart covered it very well. Think beyond COVID. There's so many bad things in our air that we should also be looking at. I mean, you have the mold, you have the allergens, you have the VOCs, outdoor pollution's getting worse, but our indoor air is 8 times as worse. So, I mean, there's just so many things in our air. So, I mean, yes, COVID is definitely a concern, but if you're also at the same time getting rid of those other bad irritants, then you're just ahead of the game. So we can probably add another hour to the show of Stuart and I just scaring you about all the things that could be in your air. But I guess we'll leave it at, with good solutions like Stuart and ours, I think there's hope and there's solutions out there, and we just want the general public to educate themselves and feel good about that there's a good American patented technologies out there.
And then Terri, real quick, tell everybody what you do and why it's important that you're breathing, because you're a fitness competitor.
I'm a fitness competitor. I've been with Brian for over 7 years doing red carpet hosting. And I'm excited that we're getting back on the road again. So all this is really important to keep us all healthy.
And then, hey, Roxy, do we have that clip that we can show real quick? Is that possible? She's probably still working on it. Oh, while she's doing that, hey, for everybody to know real quick, it's always Giving Tuesday. So I always said this, I don't want to do one month of Giving Tuesdays. It's important to give every Tuesday to your favorite charity. So for me, it's Dreamweaver Arts, the dreamweaverarts.org. It's really, really important. I don't care if it's St. Jude's Hospital. We have to give and help those small businesses because they're really, really important. Hey, we can help, Air-Clenz, and we can help Air-Clenz. That's all great and, really, really important to me because, again, I want to take these products and showcase them not only on our ranch, but the things that we're doing to other people who may not know about these two great companies. Right, Mike?
Yes, absolutely.
Hey, Roxy, we have time to show that real quick? Oh, she's working on it. Yeah, she's working on it.
I have it ready, but I followed it from other links. So if it's not the right one, somebody grab my attention. But it's called Air-Clenz Systems Cinema because I know Brian likes going to the movies. So here it is.
Yeah, so I'll do the voiceover once you get it up there, Roxy. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. Here it is.
For patrons sitting at your movie theatre, the air might seem cool and pleasant, but unfortunately there could be deadly pathogens such as the coronavirus floating in the air around you. Here at Air-Clenz Systems, we have developed technology which helps clean the air around your customers while they are relaxed and enjoying the movie. The Air-Clenz design includes side protectors, which can be tucked away when not in use, can be designed to include stereo speakers or other sense enhancers if desired. This protects others sitting nearby from sneezes and coughs. Exhaled air is drawn away from the patrons via small suction vents built into the back of the chairs. This potentially contaminated air is securely removed through air conduits from the area and sanitized. The Air-Clenz system is akin to those used in dental and medical industries. Thus, the technology is time and safety proven and has been now adapted in a novel way for the cinema. Please learn more about our new technology at www.airclenz.com.
All right, Stuart, you got about 30 seconds. Go for it.
Well, first of all, I went through years of voice training on that accent. I mean, it's very straightforward. We're applying existing technology in a novel, patent-pending way. And so, again, we're turning each seat in the movie theater into not only a comfortable place to sit, but also a means to capture and treat exhaled air and the room air in general, thus increasing the fresh air turns per hour and decreasing the likelihood of getting sick from exhaled air from someone else, or, to George's point, from poor air quality in the cinema or the airplane or the office or the call center or the classroom.
or a submarine, because that's when I learned it from my friend who went on a 9-month submarine thing in the Navy. And I sent her candles, and then we realized she can't like scented candles because it's
Right.
underneath. So this was in 2014, so I never forgot that. So again, I think about that outbreak. This is the reason why I bring my Lysol and spray the seats. I don't care if people are laughing, but hey, I haven't gotten sick. So thank you, everybody, for coming on the show. And I always say this, have a good night tonight, a better day tomorrow. If you see someone without a smile, please give them one of yours because the world needs it. I'm Brian Sebastian, movie reviews and more, and we'll see you next week.